Hi guys, today we are going to talk about GitHub. Yes, the long awaited GitHub video is here. So, without wasting much of your time, what is GitHub? Right, so GitHub is, I know you've seen the website, and from what I can gather, I think a lot of you guys are asking the questions because you've seen GitHub. A lot of you have accounts with GitHub, but you don't know what is really going on there, right? So, but in summary, GitHub is a version control tool. Now, GitHub is not the only version control tool out there in the world right now. There are a lot of them. There are Gitbucket, there are Bitbucket. I think there are a lot of version control tools. And then you have GitHub, which is owned by Microsoft and is, yes, the most popular version control tool out there, and also collaboration actually. So GitHub, or Git, you know, let me just use the word Git. Actually, what they do is just to help you control the versions of your software, and they allow you to collaborate with your team members, right? So by version controlling, if you have a software that is version 1, right, and you have released the first version to the internet, and then you have a second version which is version 2 or version 1.1, and there's an issue, there's a problem in that second version, let's say 1.5 or 1.2, and you need to roll back to 1.3, or you know 1.1 or 1.0 actually. So you discover that if you try to upgrade or try to push to the next version that you had in mind, it may be a problem to you. So with version controls like GitHub, you can easily roll back to the previous version while you calmly work on the next version and fix that issue. So it's that easy, and it's when it comes to collaboration also, like I mentioned, a lot of people can work together with your in your organization. You can all there's what they call there's what is called fork, right? In GitHub, you can all fork the repository and work on it, and you can actually merge. There's a lot of how that I will show you guys a demonstration of how that is done actually now. So that's basically what happens in GitHub, right? Having explained that, let's dive into the first thing that we can do is how to create an account on GitHub. Yeah, I believe earlier, few months back, I've told you guys about GitHub, some of you guys, and I think I made a video on how to download the repository I posted, and I gave you guys a task to redo it and add your image to that particular repo. So let's create a GitHub account. Let me just show you how I can create a GitHub account. So I'm in my Firefox, and I want to I want to get to GitHub, right? So I'm going to go to github.com. Excuse me. Yeah, so when you get to github.com, this is the page you're going to see, right? Although I know this video was intended for GitHub, so I want to also to take a few minutes and show you guys about GitLab, right? So GitHub is like this, is like GitHub. So the reason why I showed you this thing is you should know. I like to always give varieties of stuff whenever I'm doing stuff. So let's go back to GitHub is actually has more freer features than other version controls out there. To get started, you have to go to sign up, right? So and enter your email address and continue and all those things. So but I already have a GitHub account, so I'm going to sign into my GitHub account right now. All right, now that I've signed into my GitHub account, seeing feeds from some of the people and some of the organizations or stuff that I've followed in the past or I'm following. And on the left here, you can see my repositories. So this can be considered as projects. So, but they are just some repos. So they are just some things that I worked on, right? So there are other private repositories which of course are here that are not supposed to, that I don't intend to show to the whole public, right? So now let's dive into our first project actually. Let's say for instance I want to work on a project, right? So for the sake of this video, I think I've actually made this, yes, exactly, this simple web page. That this web page, when you, oh sorry, when you say click me, I believe nothing should happen right now, right? Guess nothing happens when you go and click me, right? So we are going to upload this version of this particular software, and we are going to update it right in GitHub. So just want to make sure a brief demonstration of how you can update software that you've built on GitHub. So this is a simple web, right? I call it simple web. So let me just go and create a new repository, and I will say no template for that. I'm going to just call it simple web. I think I should just add simple web demo, right? Okay, so simple web demo is available. So description is optional, but yeah, you should use a description. So I'm going to say this is a simple web page that was made to demonstrate the use of GitHub. Alright, yeah, it's going to be public of course, and to add the readme file, yes, I think you should add the readme file, because sometimes you may work on a project and you may feel you don't need the readme, but readme is always important when it comes to software engineering or software development. You must have a readme file to explain the first thing the person that opens the software should do, or probably to remind yourself the steps you should take when opening the file or something. So git ignore, choose which files not to track from a list of templates. Well, let's not go into all this now, because this might be part of the advanced stuff. I'm just showing you a demonstration, right? So yeah, I'm going to leave a free license, so I'm not going to add a license to this actually. Or for, let me just make it a free, a general public license actually. So yeah, let's leave it at that, and let's create a repo. So simple web demo, right? So actually I made this a GPL license, general public license. It means that anybody in the public can use it, right? So about licenses, you can look that up later. I can make a video for you about these licenses. So now I have this license because I chose it, right? It's already embedded, it's all was automatically embedded in my project, and I have the readme file, which is in a markdown format, right? So, and about that, there is a web format called markdown. It's not HTML, right? So but anyways, I can further edit this readme if I want. So but let's go straight to adding our file, right? So I'm going to, well, I can upload this file from my system, or I can create a new file and name it whatever I want, and save it from here. So but since I've already created it, let me just upload the file. So I am going to drag from my desktop, or I just choose from my desktop, and I think I named that web page, right? That should be web page. Yeah, web page.html. All right. So now we've started using the GitHub, and Remember, that was when I uploaded this simple web demo. I opened this in a new tab to show you something. When we created this repository in this project, we only had the readme file and the license file, right? So what I told you about version control is what we want to do now. I want to make a change in this software called simple web demo, and I can't just go and make that change like that, right? So what I just did now is what I'm doing here is a change, and I want to commit that change. So add files via upload, right? And add optional extended description. So I can just make a description and say this is the index file, or let me not call it index, this is the main page of the project, right? And of course, yes, I added files, added the main file via upload. This is where the users will see the projects or software, right? So now I can commit this change directly to that main branch, that main software, or I can create a new branch and start a pull request. So what this means is I want to create a branch different from that main branch. So whatever I'm doing, that main branch won't be affected, right? So I want to, since I'm updating the software directly, I'm going to commit the changes to the main branch, right? So it shouldn't take long actually. So we have that web page.html. Okay, so we are going to deploy this project, which is kind of going into version control. So but before we can do that, we need to rename this web page.html, right? So let's just open this up and see if we can rename it. Download, jump to file. Okay, edit this file. Yeah, the reason why I'm renaming it to index.html is that by default, when a browser is loading a HTML page, it will look for the file called index.html and load it first. So by default also, when you deploy a software or a project on GitHub, is going to start looking for index.html. So I just renamed that thing for that sake. So I'm going to commit the changes again and commit it to the main branch. So update and rename web page.html to index.html. So I'm going to add the description. I always like to add descriptions in case I maybe forget tomorrow where I did what I did, or maybe somebody else came and is, so the person can know actually why I did that. So I'm going to say I renamed the Alright, so I'm going to commit it to the main branch again. Alright, now that we have that, let's go back and so I'm going to create a branch called ghead-pages. That's basically how to create a, so as you can see, it's deploying. So we have it deployed, and last deployed. Now let's try to open it. So we have that our web page now displaying in GitHub, and like we all know, it's not going to do anything for now. The click me button is not going to do anything. So but I'm going to add a JavaScript code that will make it display something. Then I will update that and we'll see how it's going to, changes are going to come up. So in a minute, let me just add the JavaScript code here. So just to confirm, I added the code that, okay, all right, it's working, and it says how are you today, right? So let us just come back to this project. So I'm going to copy all this, and I want to edit this repository. So instead of writing the line of JavaScript again, I'm just going to paste everything here, and yes. All right, so I'm actually doing this in that GH pages branch that I created. So I'm going to commit the changes to that main GH pages branch, and it says updates HTML, right? So I'm going to say yes, I added a few lines of JavaScript and to display some information. All right, so I'm going to commit this to the main GH pages branch so that it's going to effect in that changes that we made, right? So let's go back to the deployment and see if it's gonna work. It didn't work yet. What's the issue? This was deployed 9 minutes ago. I don't think our deployment has pending. All right, pending deployment. Why are you pending? All right, success. So as you can see, the deployment has been updated to now. So let's look at it again, and hopefully if I click on click me, I'm going to see a JavaScript prompt. Why it didn't work? Let's have a look at the code, and let's see if there's a JavaScript in here. Sorry. Okay, no JavaScript. Okay, I think that may have worked, but to deployments. Okay, that does work now. So yes, so now we just built a software, and we actually kind of updated that software with GitHub, right? So remember, if I didn't want this version again, right, I can easily go back to this version that was deployed 11 minutes ago and check it out, or roll back to the version, right? So in summary, we've seen how we can easily use GitHub to control a software control a software version, right? GitHub has other features like GitHub Desktop, which allows you to collaborate very easily with other software engineers, and you can also integrate GitHub with VS Code, right? That's software I use. You see codes in my system, so that's VS Code. So you can actually integrate GitHub to your VS Code so that you can commit changes right from your coding software, right from your IDE or any software you're using to code, right? So that's that. I believe this has given you a bit more light on GitHub, right? Thank you very much. If you have any questions, please let me know. And if you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe, and also share this video. It really helps a lot. Thank you very much.